When Izuku opened his eyes he saw he was in a thick dark purple fog. Turning around he saw a figure. He knew it wasn't one of the past users of One for All. He couldn't make out the figure, and as it got closer Izuku could see the thick smoke coming off of it. Then he felt it. Izuku felt something touch his heart. It played with his heart. Izuku couldn't move for he was paralyzed. "I love you." Then a massive shockwave rang through, sending the figure away. In the center of the shockwave, the third user of One for All was standing. He looked panicky, and as he grabbed Izuku's shoulders he spoke with great urgency. "Okay, listen, kid, this isn't an illusion or some type of quirk, and you aren't asleep either. Whatever it is, we can't seem to fight it, so while we hold it off we need you to stay strong." "But what's happening?" "We don't know. All we know is that it brought you here, and for whatever reason, it wants you and only you, so be careful out there and remember you'll never be alone as long as you have One for All still flowing through you." Then, as if the shock wave imploded, he was surrounded in the dark purple fog. The figure spoke. "I love you, I love you, I." Izuku woke up panting and sweating. Looking around he saw he was in one of the guest rooms the blue-haired maid brought him to. He decided to just start the day early, and what better way than to do his morning exercise. Getting up he saw he was still in his shirt and cargo shorts. He walked outside and into the hall and chose to go left. As walked down the hall, he noticed the hall seemed to go on endlessly, so he stopped and picked a random door to open, silently praying he wouldn't be walking in on anybody changing the room. But when he opened the door he was met with a library. There was a little girl in the middle of the pathway with blonde hair in a drill style. She also had blue butterfly eyes and wore a pink dress. He quietly walked up to her. As she stared at him, feeling to break the silence, he spoke. Do you know where I am? Because I think I'm lost. I can't find the outside." He spoke quietly mainly because the room reminded him of a library and old habits die hard. He guessed. She stopped staring and then pointed at the spoke. "You're in the Forbidden Library, I suppose. Okay, do you know why the hallway is endless?" "It's because of my magic, I suppose." "Oh, wait, magic?" Izuku was on the verge of having a panic attack. "Yes, magic. Why do you act as if you've never seen magic?" "Oh, it's nothing. Do you mind if I go now?" Izuku ran out of the room and out of the mansion. Once he got to one of the gardens he started with his workout routine. He started with push-ups first. During this time he was on autopilot, as he now knew what the third user of One for All was talking about. This wasn't the past of a dream. He really was somewhere else. Wait, if I'm in another world, then that would mean the multiverse theory is right, and if he was brought here that would mean the figure was strong enough to travel through dimension, and if that's true then is magic just some form of ancient technology, and if that's the case what powers it, and if muter. Because of the many hours he spent with May at her workshop he was quite versed in making technology. Heck, he could say that given the right materials he could build a fully functioning computer, as May loved to hack his ear off about anything related to science, and he also got to know so of May's aspiration, and besides building the best tech she also wanted to invent something new and never before done. Now looking at his situation when he told the little kid it was magic, she seemed to believe him far quicker than what he considered normal. Izuku's train of thought continued like this until he heard Amelia. "Oh, there you are, Rem, and Ram has been looking for you since this morning." When Izuku looked, Amelia saw how he had bags in his eyes and he seemed to be tired. "Hey, Izuku, did you sleep well?" "Oh, yeah, just woke up early and decided to start on my morning workout." He got up and dusted himself off. "So where are we going?" "Oh, I'm just gonna practice. You might want to go see Rem or Ram for a new change of clothes and maybe a bath." Izuku flustered at this. "Oh, do you know where they are?" "They might be in one of the halls." "Okay, so yeah, bye now." Izuku ran off embarrassed. As he was walking through the halls he spotted the pink-haired maid. He walked up to her and he still couldn't tell the difference between them, so he asked the question. "Rem?" No, it's Ram Guest-sama. Oh sorry, but can you help me? Okay, but what do you need? So I need a bath but don't have any clothes. Do you happen to have a spare robe or something? I can help you with that. Just leave your clothes outside and I will leave a robe for you to change into. With a red face, Izuku thanked her and walked off to where she said the bathroom was. God, that was so embarrassing. I really need to get a change of clothes fast so this doesn't happen again. As Izuku walked into the bath, he saw just how big it was. Are they sure this is a bath and not a bathhouse? When he took a bath, he started contemplating what he would do. Okay, so I need a way to make money and I also need someone to help teach me to read and write the language. I also need a place to stay. After today I'm probably gonna have to leave and find somewhere else to stay, not to mention I don't really know much about the kingdom I'm staying in and its laws. Getting out of the bath, he felt refreshed. With his dream out of his mind, he opened the door just a little so he could grab the spare robe they gave him. Walking out, he almost ran into the blue-haired maid named Rem. Hey Rem W, what's up? Damn it, it's been years since he last stuttered. Master Roswell has requested that we all have lunch together. Izuku followed Rem to the dining room. When they arrived, everyone but the little girl Izuku had seen in the library was there. Hey, where Beatrice? She has rarely been seen and you're lucky if you see her more than once, Ram explained. Then the man in the center of the table spoke. I am Roswell and I must thank you for helping our dear Amelia, for you see that insignia prove her royal candidacy as the next in line for the throne, and without that she would have lost all rights to participate in the royal selection. Oh, Izuku said, sounding dumbstruck at what the white-haired girl lost. Oh, indeed, so as a show of my appreciation you may ask any one thing of me. If it's within my power I shall grant you that one thing. Well, you see. Izuku started looking embarrassed at what he would ask. So I have 3 problems that I need help with. Go on. Well, I need a place to live and I need money. I also don't know how to read or write, so if you could offer me a job here I would appreciate it. Oh my dear boy, what are your qualifications? Well, I can cook, clean, I also know how to fight and I'm strong and fast. Roswell hummed for a bit, considering Izuku's qualifications before he spoke. Well, how about we make you Amelia's combat butler? What's a combat butler? It's where when at home you will be a normal butler and help Rem and Ram out with chores, and when Amelia leaves to the capital or to another house you will go with her to be her protector. Okay, I can do that. Great, Ram shall give you a tour of the mansion while I have some business to attend to. Ram approached Izuku. Follow me, Izuku. As Izuku followed Ram around the whole mansion, she showed him how to clean and how everything was supposed to be prepared. They eventually ended in the kitchen with Izuku helping prepare the lunch. Okay, Izuku, you will be peeling the potatoes. She handed Izuku the potatoes and knife. Quickly getting the idea, he began the best of his ability peeling the potatoes, one really good and handy passive of one for all. Besides the near endless stamina, it was also the fact that regular kitchen knives just couldn't cut him, and while his skin wasn't as durable as Kirishima's, it was durable in its own right. Ram was surprised, as every time she expected the knife to cut him it just slid across his skin like a stick. Izuku's skin's quite durable. Thanks, I guess. Then Rem spoke up. Rem is almost done with the meal. After that, they worked in silence, neither comfortable nor unpleasant. Once it was time for lunch, Ram informed him they would eat on their hour break before they would start back up again. After Izuku ate, he began to work on his kicks, punches, rolls, dives, and many move he would fight with. For his hour break he decided to practice his quirk at night, as he really didn't want to draw suspicion to himself just yet. Then after his break Ram continued to show him the ropes. Then before bed Ram had appeared and told him she would teach him how to read and write their language. She first showed him the basics and told him to memorize them and learn them before they would go on to the more advanced material. Once Rem left, he snuck out and escaped into the woods to practice, first starting with to train us. The more he upped the percentage of one for all, the faster and stronger he also got, and that was a problem, because he could crush things instead of just grabbing them, and like that could become strong enough to destroy entire buildings. Then he moved on to his Air Force series, as his aim could do a little better. How he would practice is by destroying a tree and using black whip to send it up in the air, where he would fire more air bullets at it, destroying it even further. This way, he could train his control with black whip and Air Force at the same time, unaware of the red eyes watching him. And before he would go to bed, he needed to test out how much one for all he could handle, quickly pushing up to 55%. The sparks became flames as the intensity of his power became too much for his body to contain, but when he tried to use 57%, he felt his body begin to break, stopping it before he actually broke something. Was frustrated with himself. Damn it, that's my limit. I'm not improving. It's been months since I peaked. Am I not meant to weld its full power? The red eye slinked away as the user of One for All admonished himself. Day 3. When Izuku got to bed, he didn't dream of anything. The morning he got up and went to begin his morning routine of stretches, push-ups, sit-ups, curl-ups, planks, and finally his 10-kilometer jog. After that he took a bath and put on his newly acquired clothes that Rem had fitted for his size. He for the large part of the day remained a distant from Rem, not because he wanted to but because Rem was the one he spent his first day with. After breakfast, the girls were surprised he woke up earlier than them, and so they started the chores. He had the windows to clean today. For once he was glad he could use his quirk freely here, as on private property quirk use was only regulated by the owner. The windows were huge, as it would take a ladder to clean the whole window, so he used float to get to the upper parts of it eventually. Once he was done with the widows, it was time to help with lunch. As they worked in silence, he noticed Rem did most of the work while Rem did the work, and then Rem would come and clean up the mess. Like while he was cleaning the window, he saw Rem cut the bushes incorrectly, only for Rem to come in and fix it. He decided not to ask, as there could be a good reason that he wasn't sure how to ask. They served lunch and Izuku took his hour break. Once outside, he was about to begin his training until he noticed Amelia surrounded in floating lights, all different sizes and colors. He approached her and asked what she was doing. "Oh, I'm talking to the spirits." "Oh cool, how do you do that, and can anybody do that?" "Well, no, only certain people can form a contract with a spirit." "So what happens after you form a contract with a spirit?" "Well, it depends on the contract, but it's common for one to acquire the power of their spirit." "Oh cool, so is that what you and Puck are?" "No, or more than that, but yeah, but everybody can use magic. It just depends on what your magic affinity is. Would you like me to check your affinity?" At Izuku's nod, Puck leaned in towards Izuku and closed his eyes. Well, I can't say you have an affinity, but it looks like your gate is holding back a large well of power. Maybe you have some sort of sacred blessing." The duo couldn't begin to understand what Izuku held. A somber look. "Damn, even my quirklessness is confirmed in this world too." "Well, I already knew it anyway, so what's up?" "Oh, nothing much. I'm just continuing my studies in order to prepare for the royal selection." "Oh cool, well my break is up and I'll see you at dinner." Izuku didn't notice the way Puck stared at him intensely. "What's wrong, Puck?" "It seems like that boy possesses a large pool of energy without any affinity. That boy isn't normal." As Izuku continued on with his day, he noticed how Ram kept eyeing him whenever she thought he wasn't looking. At night, when she was teaching him the basics, he noticed how she was even more distant than normal. After a long and awkward silence, Izuku spoke up. "Hey, Ram, I really like the stories in this book you gave me." "Oh, what's your favorite?" "I would have to say the one about the rabbit. It kinda reminds me of myself when I was younger." "Oh, how so?" "Well, where I come from, everybody has their own special kind of magic, and I didn't." "Oh really?" Ram sounded more interested now. Yeah, and eventually I was the black sheep. No one wanted to be with me, and it wasn't till my mentor saw something in me and decided to show me ancient magic that he could no longer wield himself, and it wasn't till then that I met my first friend. At Izuku's nostalgic smile, Ram felt like he was alone, as if his past was unreachable. Do you ever miss them? Yet I had many friends, all of them with their own personality traits that never let the day go dull. Well, that should conclude today's session. Get some rest. Ram left the room and went to the end of the hall and waited for Izuku to sneak out. While she wouldn't admit it to anyone, his story touched her heart, and while she didn't fully trust him yet, she felt as if you just couldn't fake the smile he held. When describing his classmates, she saw how he checked both ways before sneaking out to the forest. Once there, he did his usual training of destroying trees, but then before it would normally end, he started flying. He then launched off into the sky. Walking out into the clearing, she was stunned, as not that many people could fly using magic. Then looking up at the sky, she saw the speck get bigger. When Izuku was about to hit the ground, he stopped and just hovered there until he stopped and began walking off to the bed. Day 4. When Izuku saw Ram and Rem walk off towards the front gate, he decided to join them. Why are you here, Izuku? Rem sounded nice, as if she was genuinely curious as to the reason he decided to join them on his break. Well, I wanted to see the village. When they got to the village, Izuku was on alert as danger sense was activated, telling him anger was in the village. Walking to the market, Izuku saw Rem and Ram handling the purchasing of supplies, so he decided to wander. Rem was curious as to what their co-worker was up to. She hadn't interacted with him much, but she could tell he was a hard worker, judging by how well he cleaned and how he always saw it through. He cleaned almost as good as Ram. Rem would never admit, but she was beginning to get jealous of all the time her sister spent with Izuku, though she didn't hold it against him, as he just needed to learn how to read. Looking back towards the vendors, she put Izuku out of her mind. Izuku was really enjoying the time he spent with the kids. He used his strength to essentially pick and swing the kids around. They seemed to enjoy it, and so far his danger sense hadn't gotten worse, so he just assumed it was near the village. Instead of at the village, the quite dark blue-haired girl walked up to him holding a small cute dog. Hey there, that's a cute puppy you got there. As Izuku was about to rub it, his danger sense spiked and he pulled back his hand just in time to barely dodge the teeth of the small animal. Almost got me, that could have been paw. Izuku felt killing intent coming off the girl, and it made him shiver. He just managed to escape a trap he didn't fully understand. Deciding to play dumb, he kept playing with the kids until Ram and Rem showed up. Izuku, we're done, it's time to go and we have to be back at the mansion. And what are you doing? Ram was curious, as Izuku had all of the kids on his back and he was doing push-ups. It impressed both Ram and Rem. With all the kids on his back, it must have been heavy, yet he was just casually going up and down while talking to them. Truly strange man. Okay, bye kids, I'll see you later. As Izuku walked, he wondered what he did to get that kid to absolutely hate him. Then the very same girl walked in front of their path. Rem and Ram looked at the kid with irritation and curiosity. What do you need, child? Ram demanded, but the little girl looked past them right at Izuku and spoke. So how did you know that dog would curse you? Well, I didn't, but I do now. Ram and Rem took a battle stance and Izuku almost missed it, but he used the black whip on Ram and Rem just in time to stop them from getting bit by bigger versions of the small puppy. He guessed the small one was forgetting their prey while the big ones helped finish it off. Taking note of their surroundings, Izuku saw they were surrounded. Rem and Ram were really close, so he just knew what he needed to do. Rem, stay close and get down. He rose his hands and then black little tendrils sprang forth. They quickly became 100 on each hand. They attacked, grabbed, and tossed anything that was in a 100-meter radius. One for all. Black whip overload. Izuku shouted his super move Black Whip Overload. As the name suggests, just like the first time using the quirk, he would create a massive amount of Black Whip tendrils that he could use to attack large groups of enemies, effectively dealing with surrounding enemies. The little girl looked shocked at his power, but he was faster, and right as he was about to punch her, the little dog she was holding suddenly got bigger. As it was the final one, he tried to punch with 10%, but the damned thing wouldn't budge. Oh, so you can handle more fine than 25%. He kicked this time only for the dog blocked. He really didn't care anymore to still not budge, so he being really frustrated with himself for letting the little girl escape and himself for not using his training, he kicked with 40%, sending the dog flying possibly far away. He just hoped he didn't have to meet her again. Oh, who was he kidding? With his luck he will definitely see the villain again someday. Crack. Izuku felt the after effects of using Black Whip like that. His skin was red and looked like he just got a really bad sunburn. He felt the girl's gazes as he picked up the baskets of supplies and started to walk back to the mansion. Late that night in Roswell's room. So my dear Ram, what do you think of our new butler? Well, he's a hard worker and is competent enough to be a good butler, not to mention when we were attacked his first move was to move us away from danger. He also dealt with the villain so quick we didn't even have a chance to fight, not to mention Rem appears to be enraptured with him along with Amelia. Are you sure it's just Rem and Amelia? With the way Ram was sitting on his lap, Roswell missed the light blush that appeared on her face. However, he's also an unknown variable. He can fly as fast and strong, can summon black whips as he calls it, and he can also sense danger to some degree. All in all, we would watch him. He seems to harbor no ill intent towards us, but we still don't know what he wants or his goal. Exactly, my dear Ram, go keep an eye on him. She nodded and walked out of his room. Tomorrow is a new day.